Hi, welcome to our 17th episode. Can you believe that? Of Navigating the Unknown. I'm Andrea Stern of SternRep and AskSternRep. In these webinars, we cover the topics that are challenging photographers. Today, we will get to hear the unique angle from these two fabulous producers. And it'll be about the state of the industry and what photographers need to know. APA LA, thank you for helping to make this webinar continue and continue and continue to happen. I'm going to introduce Hugh. We are joined by my co-host. Thank you, Hugh, for always being my co-host. You're an LA photographer and APA LA board member, Hugh Kretschmer. I'll turn to you.
Hey, everyone. Hi, Andrea. Thank you so much for doing this. I can't believe it's episode 17 already. And
I know.
we thank you for volunteering to do this, every month or so. And it's been a great experience. I've been a board member for about, let me say it's 4 years now. APA is about advocacy. We're about community. We're about diversity. And I get the opportunity to help shape what we bring to you. So I'm really grateful for that part. And thank you to our esteemed guests. I can't wait to start that conversation. Thank you for your time. I also want to say thank you to Sammy's Camera for sponsoring this, and Patty Silverstein, who is behind the scenes on this. So
thank you, Patty. Yeah. We need you.
Back to you.
All right. So thank you for being here. You're gonna help us get a clearer sense of what's happening in the photo world and how we can be doing our best. Our first guest is Joy Asbury. Am I saying that right, Joy?
Asbury. Joy Asbury, yes.
Asbury. Established in 2004, Joy Asbury Productions is a full-service production company that has produced hundreds of still and video shoots worldwide for top luxury and consumer brands, magazines, and agencies. The work with today's A-list image makers, celebrities, musicians, and models on shoots in stark studios, architectural landmarks, dilapidated warehouses, volcanoes, and barren deserts. Quite the mix, Joy.
Yes, it keeps it interesting. Every day is a little bit different. And thank you all for having me, and looking forward to the next hour with you all and talking about how we can improve everything.
Love it. Take it to the next level. Michael Horta, our second guest, is an owner and founder of MJ68 Productions, where he serves as executive producer, creating campaign images and videos for major global advertising campaigns. His production company started in 2006, primarily serving the automotive advertising business. Since 2012, it has expanded to a variety of clients, which includes Mercedes-AMG, Samsung, Coca-Cola, Toyota, HBO, Apple, and many more. Hi to both of you.
Hello.
Hi.
Good to be here. Thanks for inviting us.
So good. I mean, I won't go on. Okay, I'm just going to finish up with this. Attendees, you are the major part of this webinar, and we always want your questions. Keep them coming in. Please put questions in the Q&A area, not the chat area. Remember to join Hugh and I at the end of this discussion, because we like to stay on to have our own little wrap chat behind the back of these two by ourselves. We're going to take a few minutes. So just stay on with us and talk about what we learned today. Michael, you blessed us as one of our first guests over a year ago on this webinar, guiding us through the bewildering COVID situation. We will be getting the update on that, as well as some of the juicy info that only producers know. Yeah. Today's topics are what producers are all about, the art of bidding, what is happening now, where we are headed, and what we need to be doing. Actually, I assume a lot of what I'll be asking might sometimes touch on personal, private information, because you work with photographers and you might be giving away their secrets. I don't know if it's awkward. So you can always say, can't share that. I take the fifth. No pressure. I'm a little pushy sometimes, but no pressure. So first, general overview of what you do. Let's begin with the definition of a producer. You work with many photographers to figure out how you can support them in creating the work that will bring back the clients back to hire them again. That's my opinion as a rep. Is that how you guys define yourself? Either one of you jump in.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. I think we're here to make the shoot, as organized and as positive for everyone. I think that we're there for, obviously to manage budgets and to make sure that the photographer is able to stay and be creative. And we're the ones who are basically, keeping the balls in the air and putting out fires without them really necessarily always knowing that. I think it just
Very well
make it
said.
easy for them. So
Right.
Right.
Michael, what do you think? Is that the same? Does that sum it up?
Yeah, I think Joy put those words together well. And, I would add to that, you could throw in like therapist and emotional support too. It's like with everybody. My job is like from the photographer to the agent to the client to everybody on set. It's like I have to be the glue for everybody's emotional set point, and everybody's different. Anybody who's worked in a large group of people know how people react to things differently. So I think a big part of our job, and I'm sure Joy experiences this as well, is that we have to sort of like bring everybody together and create the harmony, and figure out who has needs and what those needs are and how to take care of them. And that's a big part of the job that I think a lot of photographers, when they're shooting, they don't see that, because they're shooting and they think, okay, now I'm in my shots. It's all about me. It's all about my shots. But in the background, what Joy and I are doing is like, it's like
You're keeping
nonstop.
it together.
Keeping it together. And
You're
we
the
constantly have an ear. We have a client or an agency, a client through an agency in our ear, oftentimes wanting to talk about the process because they're anxious. Should we move to the left? Should that be red? Is it too bright? And those things, you have to kind of shield them from the photographer. Otherwise, the photographer will never be able to get into the zone of doing what they're doing. So, on top of all the practical production things that we do, I think our job is quite complex.
yes.
Yeah.
I've had people that have not worked, haven't had a lot of experience working with producers or production company, and then they get into one and they go, okay, wow. And funny, oftentimes people think, oh gosh, that looks so easy. Well, that's the goal, right? Like, if Joy and I make it look effortless and easy, we've done our job, and that's, I think that's the goal, is to try to do
right. The worst thing would be to reveal all the stress that everyone's under to the client.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want the client to feel that they are in good hands. And that goes from the photographer down to the production assistant. You just want to make sure that they have everything that they need and they're feeling comfortable, because if not, it can spiral out of control and people will get like really anxious and all the things that Michael was saying. So I kind of describe our job as like a dating service, and then we get to the wedding. And we're producing the wedding too. It's like, everyone's like kind of, you just want to make sure it's all, happy and that they're getting what they need.
You're the host of the party.
Exactly.
And on a shoot, a photographer needs to focus. They need you. So as often as possible, and we'll get into that. The first question is how to make a great team with producers and agents. That's from Nick Franken. And that it makes me think, how can photographers find their perfect producer? Like, how do they find you guys, and how many producers should a photographer know of and be ready to call?
There's quite a few. There's quite a few of us for sure. And I think a lot of it has to do with personality and what, some photographers love a certain type of personality and they find that person, and that's great. And sometimes they're looking around for a while, but it all really depends. So.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with like also where you're at in your career and the level or type of clients that you're getting, because there's different, for example, like we're a production company, we're staffed, we have people, we can make things move really quickly. That might be more than somebody needs, depending on where they're at. So some people will work with like, there's a freelance independent producer who will just organize just their shoot, and that's all they're doing. They're just working in that, and it's a little bit more personal. Where bigger clients that are going to have lots of needs and a lot of things going on in the background, when Joy's working with Apple or I'm working with Samsung or whatever, those clients, the demand is so high on the prep to shoot portion of getting that ready that you need more than just a single person. I think you need a production company and people to have backup.
How do people find you guys? Where are you listed, or how?
Nowhere. It's word of mouth. It is like, yeah, it's like hunting for treasure, you know?
I think that's what it should be, to be perfectly honest. I mean, for me,
Yeah.
as a photographer on the other side, I've narrowed it down to two people, one here in LA and one in the East Coast. And it's because of the, one, I like seasoned producers. They know what to, how to field those situations and be the conduit between me and the creatives. But it's also, personality, and how do they conduct themselves on set and in interactions with me. So I've had good producers, great producers, and not so good. So anyway, that's from my perspective.
Well, like Hugh, how did you find yours?
Word of mouth.
Mhm.
I called someone up, that I know has got, a secret reputation, and say, who are you working with? Because they are also part of their reputation too. A photographer's reputation is also, due to the people that they hire and work with, I think.
Right. Sometimes with clients, I get the call, the email to do a bid. I ask them, do you have a producer you really like? Because some, like Apple, let's say, very specific.
Sure.
We want this person. So I always keep the client, because my goal as the agent is to keep the client happy.
Right.
We have another question: how to work with a producer for smaller assignments, like under 5K? Any advice for that? Like if there's not much budget.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Fine. I'd say for budgets under 5K, I would say if you know somebody, even a friend that's like really organized, it's about organization. So if you have somebody that has that skill set, that knows how to, make lists and put things together and check them off, that's a great person that you could hire, for a really small budget like that, and have them work as your producer of sorts, in that realm. I think that's a great way. And I when I was first starting off shooting back in the day, shooting lifestyle, that's what I did. I had a friend who was like super organized, and threw him a little bit of money, and he helped me to make sure that my ducks were in a row, because I couldn't afford a producer at the time. But
I would say if there's talent involved, you probably need a producer. Do you guys agree? Like, is there something that if this is happening, even on a low budget, you should get someone's help to produce it?
Yeah, it depends. Oh, sorry.
Is it just talent? No. Or is there
No,
something?
go ahead, Joy. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, I think also, having someone who actually has some knowledge creatively too, to figure out how to like make that $5,000 budget work, as far as finding locations or talent or whatever. So you kind of have to have someone who does have some of those resources, or can figure out how to get what you need. Yes, we could shoot against a white wall for $5,000, but if you wanted a location or you had talent involved, absolutely. I think in this day and age too, especially with all the laws as far as payroll and all of that, like I think that you do need someone who has some bit of knowledge, so that no one gets in trouble, has insurance, has those things.
Yeah, good point. Insurance is a good point.
Very good point.
Yeah.
One suggestion I could make to someone who's got a production that small is maybe hit up a producer whose assistant might be willing to help out with some experience.
We do a lot of editorials and magazines, and they usually have very limited budgets as well. Oftentimes we'll do that kind of a job just because we want, we get to work with a great photographer, a great model, or celebrity, or whatever, and we can put that in our portfolios. So that's something, but I am not opposed to working for $5,000 if I'm going to get something great out of it as well. So
Yeah, I love that.
Good.
Bids. This is a tricky topic. This topic, it can be confusing, and there's no one way to do a bid. So when everything first comes in, do you guys how do you start the bid with the client? Is there any certain way how to start it? Like, how do you figure out what you need for how many days? Do you go through a list of what you need to find out immediately to get started?
yeah, yes and no. I can't speak for Michael, but I've been doing it for a long enough time where I kind of like already know automatically the questions to ask. and to when I'm looking at a deck or whatever, to try to figure out like how big of a job this is. Also, I think it's really important to understand what the budget is.
Yes.
Because, you know, if they say, if you're thinking it's $500,000 and they're like, well, we have 20, I mean, we're going to have a problem. So if there's some way of figuring out the budget, that would be a good thing.
If they don't tell you the budget, what are those questions that you ask to help to protect yourself and make sure you find out what you got to find out? I know scheduling would be one answer.
Yeah, scheduling. I think there's different ways that you can find out a budget somehow, or at least find the range of it. That might be how much money do you have for talent? You know, if they say we have $500 and you're like, okay, they don't have a big budget. But if they say, oh, we have $6,000 or something, then okay, you guys have some money. I don't know. There's different ways you can slyly figure it out, I think.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, Joy. Brilliant.
I like to show them, you know, if I don't have a budget, I like to show them what a great shoot would be. I think it's important to educate them. You know, oftentimes they'll come in and they'll say, oh, we don't have money. They won't tell you what the budget is. And you don't have a complete picture. So I give them the complete picture. I'm like, here it is. You want to do this? You want to go here? Here's how to do it, and do it well. You know, and sometimes certain clients, they go for it. You know, they're in it. You get in a zone, you work that. Other clients get sticker shock and they're like, okay. And then you have to immediately have that next solution. Okay, great. We were here. I want to show you what here looks like. But now I want to show you we can do a great shoot here by eliminating some of these things, by maybe having a little bit of a shorter day, or, you know, maybe you don't need talent. You know, one of the ones that I get all the time is like, we want 28 talent. And you're like, you don't want 28. You're never going to pay for 28 talents for the most part, you know, unless it's like some big crowd scene or something, you know, but, you know, oftentimes on a lot of my shoots, at least, you know, they start with these crazy asks and then they realize the price of that. And then it comes way down, you know, so it is a little bit of a dance, you know, just figuring it all out. But I like to show them how it's done well. I think it's important to educate them.
I like that.
This might be kind of similar question, but is there a way photographers can protect themselves through the bidding? Like, what do they need to find out, or what should they make sure is on the bid and nice and clear to protect them?
I mean, I think, you know, first off is finding out, you know, payment terms and all of that up front, I think is hugely important, because, you know, that's something that, you know, if you're carrying the cost for X amount of, you know, months or whatever, you kind of want to know, it's protection for yourself. Like, what happens if something happens, you know? So.
Yeah. Big one.
And insurance, like Troy mentioned earlier, insurance.
Yeah.
Insurance. You never know when you're going to need it, so you need it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you want to have that, you know. And
So,
some things are like out of your hands, you know. Like I had a delivery at a shoot, and some guy came to bring the delivery. It was like another vendor, and that vendor came into the property, and he went out the property, took the gate out. just ripped out the iron gate on his way out and kept going, didn't even come back, you know. And you're like, oh well, okay, insurance, here we go. Like you know, it's a good thing you have insurance. And those are things you don't think are going to happen. I'm just going to shoot in the backyard of this really pretty home and everything will be fine. And you know, but at some point things happen that are out of your control, and I think that's you know, just important if you're doing it without a production company. Obviously, if you have myself or Joy or somebody else, you have that layer of them taking care of you, you know, and you can focus
if they can
on
afford.
just the, yeah.
Right. Let's talk about what's happening right now, because it's a weird time, but we're getting back into it. Michael, after we talked last time, so much of the unknown, but you were describing a new system in place to keep photo shoots as safe from COVID as possible.
Right.
So COVID thoughts, Hugh, do you have any specific questions on this?
Well, yeah, I do. You know, I can imagine, I'm a little hesitant going out without a mask on, to be perfectly honest. I'm wondering how much of this is going to carry over after things begin to open up. Is this going to be a norm? You know, protocols that before you enter the studio, you have to take, you know, is that going to remain?
Yeah. Tell us how is the COVID procedures now? Where are we?
We still need to test. I mean, I don't know, as of yesterday, I think things have changed a little bit, but, we still have to test every, 3 days, 72 before 72 hours. And, people have to provide a negative PCR test. We still have people wear masks. I mean, just better to be safe than sorry, I feel. And we still go by all the proper procedures as far as making sure that everyone's safe, because it is your crew and it's up to you at the end of the day. If something happens, it's on your shoulders. So we had last week, I had a job and one of the talent tested positive, and I think that she was probably fine, but I said, I'm sorry, you have to go home because I have 65 people here. I can't, risk that. So,
Yeah.
I think the whole country, the world doesn't even know what's happening with COVID right now. So
Right.
I mean, it's like,
Right.
I think we should just proceed as we've been proceeding until we're told differently.
Is there a resource or something? Where are these guidelines that we should be sticking to? Where do we find this?
Well, it's coming from, each state has their own guidelines. So it's really, really, really different. I was just in Tennessee and there's no COVID there. It was like maskless, so, but it was, so it's interesting, so you go from state to state and you see it very different. California is also like, we just lifted our mask mandate yesterday. So we're over, we're on this side of the spectrum in terms of, of safety and all that kind of stuff. So I think that, I think people are looking at like the CDC, they're looking at the guidelines from their state, they're looking at, what their counties are saying. It's different from, from area to area, but I think, like Joy mentioned, I think we're really erring on the side of safety. So even though when we were shooting in Tennessee and literally nobody was wearing masks almost everywhere, on our crew outside, everybody was masked still, and everybody was tested, and everybody was going through the protocols. And I think kudos to our industry, that we're working and we're doing it and we're taking care of each other, and the clients and people are behind it with money and paying for the testing and all of that. I think it's great. So until we hear otherwise, and probably, Joy, maybe you might know, maybe, I would think too, a lot of information, at least in LA, comes out of the film community too, the unions, film and television, and all of the sort of media that's revolved around that seem to follow that suit, because a lot of the talent, I'm sure, some of Joy's talent that she works with, they go on to do a TV show, then they have to do a photo shoot, then they have to go, so the protocols need to be kind of the same across the board for them to work safely and comfortably. And I think that's what we need to figure out,
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Where can we find that somewhere that we can look it up? And
I think Film LA.
Film LA?
Yeah, they have their thing. And then the AICP, which is the Association of Commercial Producers, they have something as well. Yep. So,
Are these legally, do we have to follow these, or is this up to us?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I really don't know.
In the state of California, there are guidelines, and how it works right now. The last thing I've heard was that a business can still require masks. So, I go to this market, this organic market down here, I still have to put a mask on when I go in there. They're still limiting people. It's their choice. So I think,
same
we
with
sort
us?
of, what's that?
Same with us?
Huh. Yeah. So I think we're following along with that. We're saying as a community, we're going to follow these guidelines, and we can do this as long as we need to.
I just find that whole thing quite odd. I, rep different photographers, so every photographer handles this differently.
Yep.
Some photographers do. Some clients have their own restrictions, and some don't. They look at us like, "Do you have a restriction?"
Right.
So all over the map.
It's all over the map. Yeah.
I want to ask about remote shooting. Do you think,
yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking that maybe clients will see the cost benefits of shooting remotely. I know that takes up more time on set. Hopefully they're not going to like push it back on the photographer if it does run over. But do you think that that's just going to be more of a staple that, would be doing remote shooting through Zoom? And
I hope that the creatives from the agency and the client could be on set, because it just makes things that much easier. Instead of shooting for 45 minutes and then you show them something and they're like, oh, we don't like that. But I do hope that, we don't need 20 clients and agency people on set. It's just, and that's
Right.
before COVID, that's what we had. And it was like, oh my God, it's like, that's a lot of people, and that's adding so much expense to everything, and they don't see it that way. And it's just like, you could have 4 or 5 people for, whatever, and be fine, I think.
Yeah,
And put that money
towards something else. Exactly.
towards
in front of the lens,
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
put it in front of the lens,
Oh,
Yeah, that's
This
an
could be a
interesting
whole-
topic.
I know this could be a whole webinar just on that, but
Yeah.
we have a question from John Hamblin. I'm interested in learning how your productions are evolving for hybrid photo and video shoots. This is the norm, right?
Yeah, I would say almost every job has some sort of motion component to it these days. And, we're all trying to maneuver that and make sure that, we get it all covered, but also at the same time, it's a difficult thing for a production company too, as far as, getting, markup and all that. That's a whole other conversation, but, it's one of those things that we're seeing more and more of. So I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's going to get even more so. And a lot of photographer come directors are going to pop up too. So.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Michael?
I think there's just so many, there's so many outlets, and I think clients are, in agencies, it's like everybody's, asset junkies. We need more, and video and motion and everything's moving, and everybody needs something for Instagram, and their landing pages have to be dynamic now. They can't be flat. They've got to move. So I haven't done a shoot in a while that didn't have a video component to it of some sort, whether some of them are more simple, some of them are full-blown video days, so it's interesting. And I think that hybrid model definitely needs to evolve, amongst all of us producers, and how we're going to address that, because the two worlds have been quite different for a while, and now they're coming together. So they need to come together in a way that just unifies us all, a little bit.
Do you find there's a DP and a camera operator, or does the photographer do both ever?
It depends. I mean, I've seen
Depends.
it all, I've had full-on DPs, full-on motion crews, and then you do a job where you just have somebody over this, photographer's shoulder, or sometimes the photographer's doing it. It's just all over the place. So,
Right.
Yeah, like a landing page, for instance. Sometimes on a photo shoot, a photographer will be doing all of his stills, and then they just need this little bit of talent walking into the scene. It's just a quick little clip. Oftentimes, those things I see that photographers just doing it themselves, because it's easy. It saves the budget. You don't need to bring in a lot for that. But then other times they want really full-blown out videos. So DPs.
Interesting. There's another topic we could go have a whole thing about. Kevin Steele asks, are agency creatives and art producers involved on the selection of photographer directors, or is that domain of the production company?
I would say that absolutely the agencies and the creatives from the agency side or client side are the ones who choose the photographer. Absolutely. I mean, we can make recommendations, but most of the time, at least in my jobs, that's the way it's been.
Yeah, in my world, it's similar. I definitely get a lot in automotive. We get a lot of people coming to us and asking us who would be right for this beforehand, before they even go to the reps. Sometimes I get those phone calls, which is really interesting. But I think that, they're coming to us because we're independent, so we're seeing everybody. So they're coming to us for an unbiased opinion. I'm going to be racing. Who's the racing guy? Who's awesome on the track? Who's that guy? I'm going to be doing people. It's all lifestyle, that kind of a thing. And they want to know. So we definitely mind melts with them a little bit, but then the agency, like Joy mentioned, the agency will weigh in, heavily in the end. It'll be their decision, so.
I find sometimes they don't even we don't get to have a creative call involved with the agency We're bidding on a job
Right.
through a production company. We can't even have a creative call. There's
Strange.
no contact with the agency. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Right. Are you noticing certain types of photographers working more right now versus not working as much? Like any types? I'm noticing studio, food, lifestyle being very busy right now. What are you seeing as hot right now?
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I did a job where initially they didn't want a photographer. They wanted the models to shoot themselves. And that was interesting because in the very beginning, I was like, hey guys, like, who's going to like this? Who's going to make sure that the models are looking good? I better put on a really strong assistant on this job to make it happen. And then of course, you know, he ended up shooting the whole thing. So I think people are still trying to figure it out a little bit.
Wow.
You know, yeah, I think, yeah, lifestyle stuff I think is still, you know, really popular. And it would be nice to see some really beautiful things coming up, not so much like asset driven content. We need all this stuff, but just, you know, really kind of something that blows your mind a little bit when you see it, because everything's starting to look very similar. So it'd be really nice to like bring back the real creative process.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, Michael Kaminsky, one of our earlier guests, talked about that. Yeah, it's just going to be a flood of creative work out there.
And maybe because of COVID, that will happen. I mean, maybe, you know, people are changing. So their views on everything are changing, and hopefully we'll have like kind of a resurgence of a creative movement. I don't know.
Yeah, the pendulum will swing. It always does. I've seen it go from one side to the other. And I think we're feeling the effects of like the whole Instagram evolution, and everybody, you know, clients and agencies, they look at that and they look at Instagram and they think, well, look at that. That's easy. That guy just shot that picture just by himself. But that guy that shot that picture on Instagram happened to be at the right place at the right time in the right moment. And the sun just happened to be shining, and the thing just happened to be in the right position. And if you look at his phone, it probably took, you know, 1 million pictures to get to that picture. And you go, wow, that's great. Why do I need a crew? Why do I need a producer and a hair and makeup artist and a this and that? And that? Because to recreate that and do it repeatedly over and over and over again, it takes, you know, it takes a skilled group of people to be able to deliver consistently. So I think we're going to feel that we're feeling the effects of the you know, the Instagram effect, but I think that the pendulum will swing. I think it'll go back to that. You know, wow. I see it in even in the different, you know, in my market in automotive, you know, you see these swings from like all about the car. It's all about the car. It's all about the car. No, it's all about the people. And then it swings, and then it's, you know, people. And then it's like, no, we're going to go back to engines. It's fast. It's this, you know, everything just keeps doing this little dance, you know? So I think I would love to see it. I really enjoy those Nowness videos. Do you guys watch that? Nowness, have you gone to that website? Nowness is great. Check that out. There's all these photographers and directors and people are putting up work there, and it's so beautifully inspiring. You know, I go there for a lot of like, you know, inspiration pages, but I think it's a great place also for the people that are listening to showcase work. You can showcase things there. And I know a lot of art producers and art buyers that scour that site to make their mood boards, you know, and get inspiration. So it's a good place to look and to also be seen. Ooh. You know, and that's giving me a little, you know, hope. When I go onto that side, I get hope that like this is going to come back, because it needs to get more interesting.
I love that. That was Nowness.
Nowness. Yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah. Rainey, if you're listening, hurry up, get us there. Okay. This is perfect conversation because it leads me into my next question. I've noticed a serious recalibration. That's like the word. I'm recalibrating in this last year of being in a lockdown situation where photographers, all of us really, are looking at life a bit differently. Do you notice this? And are you seeing photographers making changes or shifting right now because of this last year? How are we adapting? Do you see any of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, on a personal level, I mean, I want to be, you know, I love my job. but I also want to be with people who I love to be with on my job. So I think hopefully some of the more difficult personalities, will change, or, and some of the great people that are still amazingly creative, will, step up to the plate and do more work, because, when you're with someone for 14 hours, a crew of 14 hours a day, it's like, you want to enjoy what you're doing. So that for me has been a big thing. And I was struggling with that before COVID. So it really helped. And also just, I think being more creative on a personal level too is important to me. So I'm not baking bread though.
Michael, any thoughts on that?
Since COVID,
such a recalibration.
yeah, I'm definitely seeing more interest in I don't want to use, it's an used word, authenticity, but I'm seeing, definitely an interest in images that feel really genuine and connect you to your sort of life passion. Yeah, your truth, your life passion, like all of that. I'm seeing images like that more and more now. And that's really interesting. I think, this last year taught me and a lot of the artists that I work with that we're not worrying as much about things as we used to,
Yeah.
because you realize how delicate it all really is. So
yeah,
just sort of like letting go, but in that letting go comes all this new lens on life, and how to do things. And also humor, did you guys see that extra gum commercial? I mean, that was fantastic. Like the end of COVID where everybody was like mauling each other. I mean, that to me is great. I think we need humor right now, so the people that are shooting that, I know there's a lot of talented people out there that are shooting humor and comedy and things that, just make us chuckle. I think we need to be reminded of that, so it's, I'm seeing more of that.
I'll just throw in as a rep, the marketing is recalibrated too. It does feel more genuine to me, the same thing you're saying, Michael, because like Hugh and I have been doing Clubhouse and Insta Story Live, and we're just being ourselves. We're putting ourselves out there.
Right.
We have something to share. And even this webinar.
Yeah.
This is the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it feels like our truth, just like that.
Yes.
And it's, people always say to me, what's marketing, or what's your marketing? What's not marketing? Marketing is putting yourself out there. And if we're recalibrating to figure out who we truly are, that's what we got to put out there.
Yeah. That's
Good
great.
point.
I often hear the word pivot. People are pivoting in the photographer's career as they have to keep adjusting to find their way in the world as the world shifts around. For example, to keep adjusting for example, images that have been all about real, genuine, believable, and also nimble crews, smaller footprint, just to name a few. Do you guys notice the needing for the pivoting of our focus? Any other pivoting right now that's happening that we need to do? I've stumped everyone.
You stumped us. Yes, pivoting.
Hugh, what about you? Any pivoting?
Well, I think certainly being authentic is for sure, that can never go out of fashion. But I think like what you guys were talking about, I was thinking about it personally. I have this enormous appreciation now that we seem to wane before COVID, but now it's just like, just the smallest thing I can appreciate. So there's no point in me being, not authentic when I put myself out there, because, I'm all part of this big world and we all have something to share. I want to share everything and I want to do it as authentically as possible.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers.
I think, yeah, I think there is, I heard you say something about nimble, and I get a lot of those requests in shoots to be small and nimble. And I think the most important question, that producers can ask is to find out, are they really nimble? Because we can be nimble, but can they be nimble?
The client,
your agency, the client and the agency, yeah. Because being nimble means you're fast, you're moving quickly, you're not having to like lock everything down into a certain exact frame, all of that, and wait 20 minutes for approvals and people hemming and hawing over shots. That's not nimble, but if they can be nimble, and there are definitely clients I've worked with that are, it's actually quite beautiful. So that is an interesting pivot that I see, in the sense that I see, photographers, working that way. For example, I'll give you a quick example. We were shooting a car spot, and usually, typically these guys are like, they want everything like locked down. This is the angle, this is the height, this is everything. We had a client that said, nope, you know what, we're going to drive down a road, a really long road, 2-hour road, and we're just going to just keep clicking and shooting and shooting and clicking and shooting and clicking, and then we're just going to look in the edit. We'll see what we get. We're going to.
That sounds magical.
It was magical. It was amazing. Really, like, everybody was like a little shocked first. It took us all a minute to get out of our rigid, like, we're going to follow the direction book, exactly. And out of it came these really interesting moments. So I think that's new for me, but I think we're going to see more of that, because once that advertising comes out and people see that, and then they think, oh, why does that look different? Why does that not look so stiff? For that reason, lifestyle's different. I mean, I'm sure, with lifestyle photographers, they're always running around and clicking, so a lot of those guys have been doing that forever. It's great. But yeah, that's a little shift.
Maybe that's part of the pivot. It's like, maybe that's going to happen more. I hope so. Like, let the photographer do their job, right?
Yeah.
Play. Go play. You see that? Go make it pretty.
I can only hope. Joy, do you have anything to add to that at all? Or
No, I think Michael summed it up really well, and so did you, Hugh. I mean, I agree. It's we just, we're all pivoting, I think. But also, go ahead.
No, Joy, go.
No, go ahead. That's nothing more.
Okay. Eric Isaacson asks, are in-person meetings opening up for photographers and reps yet? And I don't know if you guys know of any in-person meetings.
No, I haven't heard of any, but yeah, I think you would be able to speak to that more than I would. So,
Hugh, what about you?
Well, I think the way for me that's working is these Zoom, portfolio reviews. Those are they're there for that purpose. They are prepared for it. They have made time for that, and I get that chance to, for 20 minutes in a quiet room with our slippers on and our pajama bottoms on, and talk about our work, and I think that is going to stay, to be perfectly honest. The in-person, and what I've discovered is that, when you're doing it from Zoom, you can pull talent, you can pull creatives from all over the country, right? Rather than just being in LA with face-to-face, right?
Exactly.
And in those face-to-face meetings, there is so much craziness going on with everyone chattering, and you have to give them the headphones to put on to your videos, and it's distracting. It's a little bit more, and I love those. So.
Especially if you're feeding food too. We're having these big portfolio showings, and people are like, chewing on the portfolios. It's difficult. So there's something about this now that is much more focused and even better for us. But I am noticing some in-person things happening. Like, an art producer friend asked me to go to a happy hour, and I was like, huh? What? What does that mean? You want to go to a bar? How do we do this? I'm confused. But I started 2 in-person meetings last week, my first 2, and it was really nice. Outside.
I'm getting on your calendar. I'm going to get on your calendar. I want you.
My suggestion is that photographers start doing it in a creative way, which answers actually a next question, which is from Ryan Shanley. What are creative ways you're seeing people reach out, stay on top of mind, instead of emails, direct mail, but really creative? Have a specific bench outside, bring the best donuts, and invite one of your favorite people that you want to get in with. That's how you get in and be creative, but you do the work and you set up the plan, because people ask me and I'm like, huh? I don't know how. So you figure this out beforehand and you invite them. That's my answer. So Michael, we've been on a job together where the client asked for way too much within the budget recently.
Yes.
And the time frame. We didn't have time in our schedule. I see how some clients direct this comes up more than with ad agencies. How do we handle this? And Joy, have you run into this too?
Oh yeah.
How do photographers deal with this when they're asked for way too much?
I think they have to say no, or you say, hey, we have to negotiate here. You guys have, I'll bring this to the table, but you have to take this away, or whatever.
Exactly.
I mean, I had happened recently on a job where their budget was completely unrealistic, and as well as the timing. And I just said, hey, sorry, like I'm out. I can't. This is what I can do. And they came back and they had more money and they gave us more time and all of those things.
Totally.
And it's like, I'm not gonna kill myself to make something happen where if the stars are not aligned, in the sky properly, that the whole thing is gonna, be a disaster. Nobody wants that. So
Yeah, that's a very good point, because I've seen, I've seen, and recently too, I've seen people do that. I've seen somebody decide like, okay, this is how I'm going to do this. I'm going to go super, super low. And they engaged somebody, they went super low, they got it super low. They thought that was the thing. The name of the game was like winning the job, but it's not always necessarily the success. So they went and they did that job, and then on that job, things didn't go smoothly and it didn't go well. So what happened? They shifted away from that person into another team. All of a sudden, now they had more money. They learned on that one. And they had the right amount of money to do what they needed to get done. And then they got it done. And it was really, really interesting. So sometimes I think I look at those things, and you have to ask yourself, no matter how big or small the photography assignment is, can you succeed, or is it setting you up to fail? If it's setting you up to fail, I think walk away from it, because you don't want to have a list of failed shoots. You only want to have this roster of all these wonderful successes. So that's my advice, is just, if you think you cannot do it, stay away from it. Or, the flip side of it is, I've had some photographers who say to me, I want this so bad, and I'm willing to, like, if it's a wash for me, it's a wash for me, but I want it for my portfolio. Great. Okay, great. So you want another, $10,000 worth of things that is not in the budget, but you're going to pay for that? Great. Let's do it. We'll get you through that, because they want the asset, or they want the person. And, in Joy's case, sometimes they're notable people, you want that on your portfolio. So there's things that they'll do, and there's things that producers will do. I'll definitely partner with a photographer if it's a great thing, and say, okay, let's nab this one. It'll be good. But only if we think we can be successful. Because if the agency and the client is really setting us up with really no support, then I walk away from that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've had agency producers, I'm bidding, we're getting some inside scoop where they've actually, photographers have come in too low. They're just like, this is totally unrealistic. This is,
Yeah.
I'm not going to consider this person because it's going to mess up. So you have
Good
to
point.
be,
Yeah, it can really make you look not good.
Yeah. And that person that you were talking about, Michael, I'm, that's a problem, the fact that
Yeah. And it happens all over. You see that in so many different places, photography. So,
Yeah.
it also affects the whole industry as a whole. When we're all
yes,
trying
That's
to, yeah, it's like, when is it too low? And
right.
you never get there. And, all of a sudden we're all, doing stuff, getting as many assets as possible, and like spending our own money or not making any money, and the creative is bad, and it just lowers the whole industry standard, basically. So
Right.
Well, Michael, you might not remember exactly which job this is, but it was a client direct, and what you did is you said, well, let's give them what we can for that budget.
Right.
And this is their schedule is not appropriate. So we're going to show them, because sometimes they don't know what they can get. So they're asking for the world, hoping we're just going to come back and say, well, we can't sell our copyright. So this is the price for usage. We're going to keep our copyright. The schedule is really this. We can really only give you this amount of images.
Yes.
I feel like it's an education sometimes between client and direct.
I love doing it. I love showing, carving it out. And, if I can identify enough pieces that could make an interesting shoot, then I can say to them, okay, great, let's do this. We'll cut here, 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 and here. That would be a really nice day.
Right. Like
Maybe
here's
we don't
Bob.
need to do maybe we don't need to move to a second location. Maybe we just do it all at this location. This location is beautiful, it's large. I know you wanted to leave this gorgeous house and go to the beach, but let's hang out by the pool.
Yeah.
And you're gonna, you're gonna save time and money and get everything you need done there. And oftentimes they come around.
It's
They
the
come around.
problem solving, which is what
Yes.
you do for a living.
right.
Sometimes they just come to us and don't say that's what we need, but that's what we need.
Yeah.
We need you
Yeah.
to solve our problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I have brands coming to me now. Like, I've made relationships with brands, and I've asked them to come to me early on. Come to me before the bid package. That's when I want to talk to you. Come to me when you're dreaming. I want to know, if we're going to work together, or we work together a lot. These are regulars, people that I work together a lot. Call me. I want to know what you're thinking. I can give you a quick number just to
And
kind of
that
get you
works
in the
for
world.
everyone.
And then they can, then they get it in the zone, and then we're ready to rock and roll.
I want to ask an important question about diversity, because this last year's awakening to diversity issues, how has it affected our industry? Where are we at right now with this? Do you have any thoughts or opinions?
Yeah.
Or seeing anything out there?
What's that?
Or are you seeing anything out there right
Oh,
now?
absolutely. I'm saying it. I've had art buyers and art producers call me about specific photographers who are people of color and ask me, what they thought of, if I've worked with them and what I thought of them. And then, I said, well, are you looking for someone who's a person of color? And they say yes. And it's like, okay, well, so there's a lot of that, which has been interesting because I don't know what is going to happen because of that. I mean, I think.
And
hard.
gender diversity,
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
I've been seeing more women in key roles, and it's awesome. I say, bring it on. I want more around me. It's just such a nice balance. The industry historically, if you look at film and television and all of that, historically has been so male dominated. And to see now that tide finally changing, and you see women in all these roles, it just makes me really happy. I have a lot of women ADs that I like to work with now that I put right next to the camera, and they're really just smart and talented and organized and, keeping things going. And it's that part of it's great. I love it.
I get the request a lot when I'm emailed a general mass email of, we are looking for diverse photographers.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Do you rep any? Do you know any? So I get the question a lot.
Yeah.
I see we are running out of time. So, oh gosh, I have to ask you very quickly. Any other trends that you're seeing right now come in? One answer for that I have is payroll. Everyone's waking up to, we need payroll.
Absolutely. 100%.
Payroll.
100%. And I have a lot of photographers who say, oh, well, I'm not going to payroll my assistants. I'm like, no, you absolutely have to payroll every single person on that crew for your protection and their protection as well, especially with COVID, with unemployment and all that. I mean, it's a whole thing. So guys, payroll your crew.
Yes, I totally agree. I'm hearing bad stories. Protect yourself.
Yeah. And that's that's a good point too, because that is an education for a lot of the agency and clients too, because they all want to push into these long days, especially in summer, and they don't understand why after 12 hours, but the sunset's going to be at 8:30. I want to keep shooting, and they've been there since the morning, and they don't understand why they're going into double time. And this is payroll. This is payroll. This is how it works. And I'm actually, I think it's great. I think the evolution coming to the photo industry is fantastic because, the people that are really doing the grind in the field, all these assistants and everybody, they're the ones that are really putting in the muscle and the sweat to make it happen. And you want to work 18 hours, it should be something that's rewarded. So
I have a question here from Dario. Is international shooting a thing of the past? Are people looking closer to home?
Good question.
Where are we at with that right now? Are we ever going international? We're gonna?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, we're not yet, right?
No, I mean, I've done a job with the international client. They didn't actually come out for it. It was remote. So actually too recently. And so, I mean, obviously the time zone difference is just, we're shooting in the middle of, middle of the day, and it's in the middle of the night for them. So it's hard, but yeah, I don't know.
Are we shooting there? Are we going, we can't go to Europe yet, right?
I don't know. I think it
Yeah,
depends
you could go to Europe now,
on the country.
Yeah.
certain countries.
Are
Yeah.
people shooting, are we going there for photo shoots yet? I do know
It's-
one shoot that happened in
Yeah,
Spain.
it's just starting, I think,
Mhm.
just a little bit. I have a lot of clients in Germany that are itching to come to California,
Mhm.
and they're just waiting for that to happen. So I think, yeah, I don't think we're there fully, but I think it's gonna
Soon.
happen again. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want a vacation internationally. Can we do that?
No kidding.
If a photographer was going to take you to a really nice dinner and ask you for advice, what would you say? Like, how can they be better at what they do from what you know from your perspective? What advice would you give them? Like, always treat your client with, or
Your whole crew, everybody. I mean, I
Mhm.
think that's key. The nicer you are to everyone who's involved, the
Mhm.
more, camaraderie and all those things happen. And I think be true to your creative vision too. And obviously you have to, it's a collaboration, but at the same time, it's like you were hired because of how you shoot. So what you shoot. So keep to that. Be honest with that. That's
Like,
my
Yeah,
advice.
that's an interesting, the way you entered that one was interesting for me, because I think oftentimes there's these thoughts about, to touch on everything you guys just said, the meetings with reps, the really nice dinner, all of that stuff, they all seem like sort of tools that I see a lot of photographers think about, like an angle. But I think really the most important thing is those photos. Make your photos, make great photos. Just keep taking great photos, because your photos will open way more doors than your email will, than your phone calls will. You see a photo and you're like, who did that? That's the first thing I say. Oh my God, who did that? And then the next thing I'm doing is I'm looking up their Instagram. Who is this person? I got to find out who that is. And then from there, I'm going onto their website, and I'm like, oh, they're rep by Andrea Stern. Okay, great. And then how does that all work? But that's really the thing. So yeah, it is. Relationships are important, and I think they're really nice to have. I don't think they're always, that meeting is really the door opener. It's, you got to get those photos out there, and then as you meet these people and get to know them and work with them, then those dinners become something else, because now you can start to creatively plan with those people. That you start to know them, you've worked with them. That point of the relationship becomes really interesting in developing new work. But I think to open a door, it's like, it's the portfolio.
True. I agree.
It doesn't change.
Another question on that is, photographers go from this place throughout their career of blossoming. Maybe it's after 10 years, or maybe it's just the beginning. Do you ever see a photographer and you go, they're on it, they are blossoming, they're coming to life, they're getting better and better? What are you seeing? Is it in the photographer? What can we learn from that? Anything? Because you meet a lot of photographers where we kind of don't.
Right. Again, I say, just find your creative voice and stay with it. And that's how they blossom. Is, I think, just you have your vision. Stay with it.
I can add to that if I may. I
Yeah.
think I completely concur with it starts with the work, absolutely. But I also think it's the motivation behind the work. In my own
Well said.
career, when I've gone after the money, it's never worked out. When I've gone after what my heart's content is, it's always worked out for me. So I think producing work is one thing, but producing work that I'm truly excited about is that much more important. So, yeah.
Love it. Because Michael, you and I talked about this, and how photographers on set could give their opinion more.
Yes.
And help the clients lean on them to know the answers, to give even more. Even if the client says, do it like that, you go, okay, and what about this?
Yes. Yeah, I
Right.
actually recently worked with one of your photographers, and he's really, really good at that. And I see how that works, you know, not just to be the yes person or we want this. When he knows that the ask is going to fail, he's not afraid to say it's going to fail, but not just leave it hanging. That's not going to work. But let me show you what will work. Let me just do this for you and get into it. And then they give me a minute to do this, and they get a minute to do it, and then you see it on the screen, and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted, you know. But they're articulating it a different way. They're trying to say, you know, they're trying to be photographers and tell you go there and do that. But we know, you know, photographers know, as Hugh knows, you know, that it's there's so much more than the lens. There's an emotional feeling, there's a connection, there's something that happens in your spirit when you find that moment, you know, and you have to be able to stick to it. One of Andrea's lifestyle guys, the one I was mentioning, is really good at like taking what they want on their storyboard, which often sometimes feels a little stiff or static, and breaking them out of that by like doing something that is not the request at all. And oftentimes they're scratching their heads. They're going, wait, why are they dancing? Why do you have them spinning around? They're supposed to be getting out of a car, going into a restaurant, but it just shakes up their body. It loosens them up. It gets them into a different thing. And then he'll ask them something funny, personal, and then they'll laugh, and then click, boom, and he's in the zone, you know? And that's the high. That's the photographer rush. That's when you're mainlining, you know, you're just like, oh yes, you know, click, bam, and it's there. So I think, am I going on a tangent? I don't know.
No, I love
but
it.
anyways, that's, you know, that's that. You have to be willing to like state your point of view. Otherwise, why hire you? You know, you want to hire people with a point of view.
You talk about that energy, you know, that energy about that excitement, and you bring that forward in your posts in Instagram and your meetings, and you've just
exactly
amped, and they're like, I get magnetized by that energy, right? And they bring that audience in. So I think it's super important.
Yeah.
Super.
Joy, do you see some photographers have this, what we're talking about, and some don't?
Yes,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
does it affect their career?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. I mean, you know, I think when they have that excitement and that, and they're creating something and it shows, it's, and also, I mean, you making the shoot memorable for everybody. You know, they're like, oh yeah, that shoot we did, you know, 10 years ago with so-and-so, and it was so great. He was so exciting. And it's a magical experience. It really is, you know.
It probably helps our producers tell each other also.
Yeah.
We just worked with this
amazing person, and it's like, I want to work with them again. It's like, even if it's, you know, a mayonnaise job or whatever, it's like, I don't care. They're amazing. I love them. And they have an amazing crew, and, you know, we had a blast. I mean, that's, you know, that's for me.
100%.
Oh, this is
all that energy.
I know we have to go soon, but Hugh, are there any Q&As we didn't get to that I didn't get to?
Well, there was one question about the model that had COVID. Is there insurance? Yeah, is there insurance that covers such a situation?
I don't think so. No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
It's just not risky. I mean, it's just too risky. I mean, I'm sure I think she actually came back with a negative test afterward, but it's just not worth it. You know, why go through all that?
But if someone catches it on set, I mean, is there any insurance?
No, there's no insurance that covers it. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that was it.
Another reason why we should just, you know, proceed kind of cautiously, because
absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
Yeah, who knows what's going to come from this as far as legal cases against people that we don't even know yet because of COVID.
Right.
The madness we don't want to do.
Yeah, you can't be too cautious. You can't.
No, it's not worth it.
That could be an interesting something about what are the COVID precautions we have to be doing. I mean, I guess that's what we do on every job.
Yeah, I mean, you have your COVID compliance officers, you have, you know, assistants, you have sanitizer people, you have all of that. And you just have to do everything that you can to make sure that, you know, the crew is safe. Is there a 100% guarantee? No, but you know, as long as we're doing what we're supposed to be doing,
That's what
Who
we
would
can
have
do.
ever thought? I mean, I got into this to be into photography and taking pictures, and now I'm like a medical professional, you know. It's like Dr. Michael's here, you know, let me sanitize everything and give everybody masks.
Right.
It'll
Well,
end soon, I hope. I hope it will end soon. I want to hug all of you. That's
I
the thing I
know.
miss the most is hugging.
yeah, yeah, me too.
I think we have to shut this down, but any final comments or words of wisdom you two care to share with us? You know, photographers want to hear what you think. Any kind of honest feedback you don't normally say?
Keep shooting, keep doing it, you know, keep
Uh,
climbing. That's all we can do. Take it one day at a time. And you know, your moment might not be next week, it might be a year from now, but you know, keep doing it.
yeah.
And shoot what you
Love
love.
what you're doing.
Shoot
Yeah.
what you love.
Be
Mm.
honest.
That's the key.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to pivot away from what you love to do.
Right.
Stay with what you love to do. That's where your success is going to come from. You know,
Right.
it's going to come from that.
Exactly right.
Hugh,
You
you'd say the same?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right. You took the words right out of my mouth, because I think if you've got that love for what you do, then the money will come later, you know,
Exactly.
absolutely. And abundance. So
Yeah.
not the other way around.
It's, you know how we talk about it, it has to be believable, the look of it, the feel. You also have to be believable.
Absolutely.
Like if a photographer's trying to do something that they don't really believe in, you feel it. We feel it.
Right.
It won't shine. You know, it won't be, you won't reach the top, I don't think.
I agree.
My final question today, it's a personal question to you guys. Is there something about the last year that made you appreciate something unexpected that you'd like more of in your life?
Wow.
Mm.
Oh, yes. Time off.
Ooh.
Time off. You know, it's like I'm
Ooh.
sure Joy knows too. I mean, we just work around the clock, and that those few months when everything went into lockdown, like global lockdown, was like nirvana. It
Yeah.
was like, oh, you know, like everything was just like I started connecting with people and getting outside. And I found, you know, I'm not a practicing photographer, but I love to, you know, shoot my own stuff. And I found myself inspired again, you know, and I think that there is a point in the industry where we have to decide for ourselves, like, how much of the grind are we going to do? Are we just going to beat ourselves into a pulp, or are we going to take some time in our lives every year to like go and get inspired, go do something different, you know? And I realized that last year that is essential to me being useful to anybody, is to actually unplug, because if I don't, you know, you just become a robot, and it's not interesting. I mean, Alexa does it better than me, so you know, I don't need to be a robot.
No, I agree. I totally agree with you, Michael. I also think, you know, even if you're on a job, respect for everyone's time on that. I mean, you know, maybe on a holiday weekend, do we need to like deal with this right now? It's like, can we deal with this, you know, whenever or after hours? It's kind of like everything's an emergency, and really it's not. I mean, stuff can still be handled between, you know, normal daytime hours. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like time off, go outside, explore, do whatever you love. I think, you know, having more time for that is so important, and you know, something we should all need to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Hugh, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the self-care time has been so great. I agree with Michael, man. I was just like, oh, this is awesome. You know? No, I don't have to, I can go for a hike in the morning. I don't have to be like, you know, hitting the pavement to try to get work, because everyone's stopped. So, but yeah, so making time for self-care, personal time, carving out that time, you know, as a vital part of my day, you know, because I can show up better when I know that I've taken care of myself in the first part of the day, right? So more time of that.
I found a level of vulnerability and honestly just being honest, being myself, and knowing when I'm in a bit of a downer or a slump or something, to find the things I need to hear. Like I'm listening to different podcasts about happiness, and I go for a walk. And I'm like, it's so odd to me how I can get really kind of down and then be up in a matter of moments.
Mhm.
but to take care of myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going to give more to my job and do more of this webinar stuff and ask SternRep. Like, it's more fun the more I have to give it.
100%.
Did you guys have fun?
Yes.
Yes,
So
it's
great to
great.
see you.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, and so nice to meet both of you, Hugh and Joy. It's like I'm so glad Andrea connected us, and at some point when we can socialize in real,
Happy
maybe
hour.
our paths will cross, and we can share a glass together. So
Well,
thank
it
you
looks to
for.
me like we should find a place that has dancing, because Michael, you've got the
Yeah.
I'm
move.
ready. I'm ready.
Ready to
I'm
go.
standing up today, so I'm ready to go.
This has been a lot of fun, and I feel like it was so real. Just like no one's even listening to us. We're just talking, and that's my goal. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, all three of you.
Thank you.
And thank you, APA LA. Please join the APA LA mailing list so you won't miss out on upcoming episodes and more. And that's all. Hugh, what do you want to say?
I want to say thanks to Sammy's for sponsoring us. They are a big contribution to the programming that we do. So, as far as donations to APA, and also to our behind the scenes person, Patty Silverstein. So,
Patty,
Patty.
rocket. So join APA, people, right?
absolutely.
Join
Great.
it.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, stay on, everybody. We're going to talk. You and I are going to talk behind these two.
We're leaving, right?
Yeah, you're out. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Woohoo.
I learned.
Yeah, no kidding.
I learned a lot. I wanted to write it down when I was learning. I, of course, now can't remember. What about you?
Well, someone asked it's nowness, Nownness.
Yeah, I can't wait to check that out.
I just loved hearing everyone's perspective being in line, with each other, as far as the love of the work and, that part of thing. And, the, just being appreciative of the moments that we have, in this industry and personally. So that was great to hear.
Remember when Horta was talking about, that's what I call him, Horta, was about the road, on the road, they put a car and just drive this long road and have fun, find the magic in the moment, just be the photographer.
Yeah.
Instead of listening to the directions. I wonder if that's going to happen more, or maybe they need to see us doing that more, and then the clients will go, "Oh, how'd you do that?"
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Well, it's up to us too. They're asking us to be, do our job, be the problem solvers,
Right.
what do you think, and it's up to us to have the courage to say, well, I think it needs to be this way, I'll shoot it that way, but let's try this one.
Right.
Let's
Give
try
your
this.
opinion.
Right. Yes.
Mhm.
Protect your work, protect your reputation,
It's
and if
interesting. Mhm.
it's not that you're saying you won't do it. It's just that give them an opportunity, give them the dignity to say maybe you could look at it this way. This and see how that works.
Yes. The Joy and Michael do really different types of work, so I found it interesting that there was so much correlation. And she's, doing celebrity entertainment stuff as well as other, but I always thought of it as this other world than advertising of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like no matter what kind of photographer you are, they're all the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the dynamics might be different, but the structure is pretty much the same. Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
I really found this interesting. I hope everybody did, because I love when I get a lot out of it. And this was one of them.
Well, I think we've had some great feedback. Thanks all. Thanks so much. Great job. We love this. Great.
Good.
Yes. Great feedback.
Wonderful. So Hugh, any last thoughts, comments?
No, I think everyone should enjoy their summer, take advantage of the sun.
Yeah.
I don't know how busy it's going to be for everyone, but I certainly, no matter how busy you are, how busy I am, I'm going to take that self-time. So self-care.
Yeah. That's a good commitment.
Yeah. And so we will be seeing everyone in September. I think.
That's our thought right now, that we're going to take July and August off and have a summer. Imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
You've got
feel
plans and I've got plans, right?
what?
You've got summer plans and I've got
I got
summer.
some camping plans. Where are you going?
Mexico.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, I haven't been on vacation forever. This is, and I think
That's
Michael.
a problem, dude. That's a problem.
No, see, but this is what taking time off has done for me. I'm like, I can appreciate that now. It's like, no, I want to take that time off.
Yeah.
So,
But in the meantime, we'll do some Clubhouse, right?
yes. We'll do some Clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
So we'll keep in touch about that. But yeah, look for us. Okay.
All right. Well, everybody, I love your topic. So follow me on AskSternRep and email or DM or whatever you want. Tell me the topics you want us to cover on here, because we're totally open. Like last time we did treatments, very specific stuff or specific people. Tell us.
Yeah, because we bring this, I get an opportunity to bring this to the board and we get to, talk about it and shape it. And then, we all collaborate with you and everything. So we'd love to hear from you. I think that's great.
We'd love your thoughts on these webinars. Like, where's webinars going?
Who knows?
Because of COVID, a lot of webinars started. Where are they going? Are they still going to happen? We're enjoying it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, is this something that we adapt to the new reality moving forward after the pandemic, or do we
You know what? Let's do a live one in LA.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah.
Wow, change that up.
One. We'll just do one. This was actually Rainy's idea. She said it.
Oh, really?
I have to listen to Rainy.
I'd love to do it like a panel,
Yeah. You and I be the guests, the hostesses. You're the hostess.
Yes. Oh, David Rahmed says yes, a live one. Thanks, David. Thank you. All right.
Let's
So we
do
got
a live one.
Yeah, I'd love it.
Okay.
Love it. Cool.
We're in. All
All
right.
right.
See you in a few months. That's so long.
Enjoy your summer. It's gonna go by like that. You're gonna be camping, you're gonna have a good time, and
I will miss you and Patty. I will.
so, but we'll do Clubhouse though. Okay.
Okay. We'll talk.
Good. We'll talk.
Okay. All right.
All right. Wait a second.
Oh.
That's all right. So. All right, darling. Have a wonderful summer. We'll see you later.
You too, Hugh. Thank you.
Bye bye.